Hi, I'm Scott Ferrell. Welcome to an episode of What's Your Problem? Now, I don't always do these episodes and release them on every section of social media. Today I am. Why? Because I wrote a book. Yeah, that's me. I'll talk to myself for a second. It's called It's Not Them, It's You. And in the book, I wrote a chapter on companies that I thought were good ones to emulate, copy, because they were doing it right. Well, lately, some of the companies I talked about are starting to let me down. Now, I normally don't do videos about companies directly. I'll talk about product, services, things I don't really like, but not name companies. This time I'm going to have to, or I got to rewrite. I got to talk to this guy about rewriting the book, and I don't really want to do that because it's already been a bestseller. I don't want to rewrite the book. I'd rather write something else. So, with some reserve, I'm going to have to talk about 4 companies. Now, I don't name all of them in the book. I don't do that, but one especially. I'm going to start with that one. QT. QT is a string of convenience stores, gas stations. To me, was one of the best, based out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, family owned. But lately, in the last year or two, I've been stopping at QTs and noticing that the stores are dirty. The employees aren't very friendly, not knowledgeable, sometimes out of gas. I don't really blame that on them, though. The outside's filthy, the bathrooms are filthy, the stock's down, sodas never work, coffee half the time's not working. This is not the QT I remember. I remember everything being great. It was so great that my wife and I, anytime we traveled in the past, we would arrange our stops specifically where a QT was located. And I included them in the book as being one of the model companies. It was so bad a few weeks ago, I looked to see if they'd been taken over. And I don't know what's happened post-pandemic. To me, they were one of the best. Now, another company, Buc-ee's, is starting to really exceed expectation. Never had a bad experience in Buc-ee's. Again, we travel quite a bit now, and we get to stop at many of those Buc-ee locations, and it's never been a letdown. It's always consistent, just looking for consistency. Sometimes things go wrong, absolutely. Sometimes you can't get the right guy. Sometimes people call in and say, got all those things. So what do I normally look for in a company? Well, I'm looking for a welcome, friendly face. Hey man, thank you for coming in. Thank you for shopping with us. I want to know that I'm valued. All right, next is the external and internal. What do I mean by that? Is the parking lot clean? Is the landscaping catered, done, whatever you want to call it? Are the gas pumps clean, detailed? Do I have to worry about my credit card information being stolen? Are the trash cans emptied, or is trash everywhere? Internally, again, same thing. Are the floors clean, counters clean? Are my feet sticking to the floor when I go in? When we wrote the original copy of this book, we stopped by a 7-Eleven in close to the beach, and our son goes, "Mom, get off my foot. You're standing on my foot. I can't move my foot." And she wasn't standing on his foot. The floor was so sticky where the Slurpees were. His foot had adhered to the floor. We still laugh about it to this day. But okay, that's an example of bad. And then you go in the bathroom. I judge places by their bathrooms. Are they clean? No, things get messed up. I know that. You can't be there 24/7. That's not what I'm talking about. I can see dirt that's been there for months, 2, 3, maybe 4 months. Floor's not been cleaned. Is the toilet paper out? Are the paper towels chronically out? All right, sometimes they'll be out. Sometimes when I'm traveling, okay, I get that. You got a lot of customers coming through. Are they out every single time I come in your store? Is the paper towel and toilet paper out every time I come? Is the floor still dirty in the same place the last time I went? Yeah, I do measure. I do look. Then I come back out in the store. Are the shelves stocked sufficiently? Again, I used to drink soda. I don't drink soda anymore, but when I used to drink ices. QT's got this bad habit lately of having every single icy machine not working, regardless of state. And we travel extensively through many states. And then, are people helpful? Are they walking me through the process? And a lot of places now have the cafe-style convenience store. Are they walking me through how to do it? If they don't have a product and I ask about it, could they help me find it? Or like recently, again, a positive was I went in and said, "Hey, do y'all still carry such and such?" "No, the manufacturer discontinued that." "Well, thank you so much." And do they let me know they valued me as I'm walking out the door? You know, these things are important to me. So QT is officially now off my list of recommended places to stop. My apologies, QT, but I didn't do it to you. And I've hung in there with you for as long as I possibly could. I've started rerouting my trips away from QT now. Next door would be Kohl's. Another staple, we've had kids, you probably had kids too. Great place to buy school clothes, etc. many years ago. The other day we went in, my wife wanted to get a new suit, right? And it was comical because we go in and not one store employee. Now I make sure, because I do these ratings, I'll go in and speak to everybody. And my rating again is, are people welcome and friendly? One of my things. Am I speaking first or is the employee speaking first? Well, this one particular day in this one Kohl's, I had to speak to everybody, and only 2 out of the 9 I spoke to spoke back. Shelves are sparsely inventoried. A lot of the stuff doesn't really apply to people our age now. Okay, that's cool. I'm not holding that against the store. But it wasn't clean. No, my best experience at Kohl's this past week was, I'm in the men's restroom, I wash my hands. A lady walks in. She looks at me and smiles, and I started giggling, and then she figured it out. She's in the wrong restroom. She thought initially I was in the women's room. And I started laughing, and she goes, oh my gosh. I said, that's okay, we like visitors. I lived through the 80s in the bar scene. We were used to girls walking in and out of the men's room because the ladies' room was so crowded and the line was so long. I said, well, if it makes you feel any better, I can always go with you. That way we're friends now. And she started laughing. I was trying to keep her from being embarrassed. But she was really sweet. Okay, so the most positive thing that happened to me at Kohl's this week was the fact that a lady walked into the men's room. That's not cool. And then as I walk around the store, and I'm trying to ask some of the employees some questions, because I buy socks there. There's stuff I buy at Kohl's. I had to interrupt their phone time. Kohl's, I just want to let you know, are you paying your employees to play on their cell phones and ignore customers? Just asking. Because 7 people that I approached, 7, were on their cell phones and could not bother to be interrupted to help a customer. Now, some of this is home offices, I'm talking about retail establishments now, are not connecting the employee paycheck to sales. Many kids that I ask, and I'll stop and ask, hey, how's your paycheck calibrated? Well, I come in and I work and I stock shelves or whatever. I said, no, really. How do they decide if they hire you? Well, they need their shelves stocked. Said, at any time has it occurred to you that your job is dependent on people purchasing items from your store? No. I'm getting this quite a bit when I talk to people. So Kohl's and other establishments, you might want to make sure your employees understand your core values, what your mission is, and what their job is, because clearly, Kohl's has not trained people how to do anything other than stock shelves. All right, let me move into the next one. Bojangles. I went to get a thing of chicken the other day, which we never eat fast food, but the other day, you get up and go, all right, I haven't had Bojangles chicken in like 8 years. I'm gonna go get me some because I remember the taste. And Bojangles is special to me because when the first Bojangles opened, my dad was a friend of the owner. So when I was a little boy, tell you how old I am, I'm not gonna tell you how old I am now, Bojangles has been around a while. My dad would take me in to see him. And my dad would get coffee. I'd get a little coffee, being a big man. Dad was teaching me to be a man. And we'd get biscuits. But we'd always hang out with the owner. And so I go to this Bojangles, and I still got that memory in my head. And I normally use Bojangles for coffee. And I go up to the drive-thru, because the store's closed, because they can't get enough employees. Pet peeve of mine. Chick-fil-A never has a shortage of employees, Bojangles. You might want to keep that in mind. So I go up and I go, I'd like this amount of chicken and some French fries. Well, we don't have any chicken. What do you mean? Well, we don't have any dark meat. Oh, okay, that happens. Ordering happens. Well, we don't have any white meat either. I was like, okay, am I on camera? This is a joke, right? You guys are a chicken and biscuit place. Well, it would take 30 minutes to cook it. What time y'all close? Well, we close at 10. It's 7 o'clock. Well, it's going to take 30 minutes. Well, do you still want your drink? I declined the drink. I've also declined Bojangles from here on out. So probably the last time that a Bojangles ever gets my business. Now, correction for one. I did have a good experience at a Bojangles in Lithonia, Georgia. The girl cracked me up. I went in, all I ever get is coffee. So I go in to get my coffee, and the girl was trying to be sweet. And if you're my age, I appreciate a discount. She goes, well, it's Thursday. It's Senior Citizen Day. You get your coffee for free today, sir. I busted out laughing. I just started laughing. I was like, do I really look that old? You assumed I was a senior citizen, right? Well, yes, sir. Okay, just give me the free coffee. Note to self, don't let them know how old they look if they don't ask, but I appreciate the free coffee. But Bojangles, again, your employees don't understand the fact that their paychecks dependent upon people purchasing things. Now, I used to be in a restaurant business when I was a teenager. Man, I know what it's like to sandbag, right? You want to go home. You don't want to pre-fry anything. You don't want stuff in there. You want to go ahead and pre-clean the kitchen. You got stuff to do. I was 15, 16, 17 years old once. Trust me. And it almost got us fired one time in the steakhouse we worked at. But at 7 to 10, normally we started that stuff about 9:30. We're out of chicken. We'd make up everything, right? Not 3 hours prior to closing. All right. Is that my last company today? I did Kohl's, Bojangles, QT. And I want to do a shout out to a company. All right. So I'm going to do a shout out. 3 bad. Let's go with a good one. Dunkin' Donuts. I have friendships with people from Dunkin' Donuts in about 4 states. My wife will tell you why. I drink coffee. I go for coffee. I don't eat donuts. I don't really eat sweets. But the great thing about Dunkin' Donuts, and I've gotten to know South Carolina, North Carolina, Charlotte, Georgia, parts of Florida. Yeah, that's 4 states. Getting ready to be Tennessee. Okay, that would be 5. It's consistent. They're trained. They understand their job is to get me my coffee at a fair pace, not something crazy, but fair pace, with consistency of my expectation of what it's going to be. And for most Dunkin' Donuts, they're friendly. They greet you the same way. Externals and internals are the normal, the same. Stock's normally there. Very rarely do they run out of anything, and they're always helpful. That I appreciate. Recently I did a video on the Westin Poinsett in Greenville, South Carolina. To this day still, and I've stayed in really nice places, still the best customer service experience I've ever had. Fabian is the general manager there. Other than being my mom's favorite performer from the 50s, because like the singer, I was like, you know who Fabian is? Still the best customer service I've ever had. So Fabian is phenomenal. And the whole staff is unbelievable. So what can you take from that? Well, I'm criticizing to help, not to stop, because do I want to still shop at Kohl's? Absolutely, because it's convenient for me. Do I want to go back to a Bojangles? Yeah, they have good coffee. At least in my book, they do. Do I want to go back to QT? Absolutely, because for so many years, for so many trips, out west, Florida, you name it, they were our cornerstone of travel. We could depend on the gas price. We could depend on, coffee for me and whatever for my family. And they had I knew where everything is. In every QT, they're all laid out the same, right? So I know where everything is. In, out. I'm out, ready to go. But due to circumstances lately, I'm going to have to cross you guys off my list. So for right now, putting a hiatus on it, Kohl's, Bojangles, and QT. Dunkin' Donuts, you're near and dear to my heart because she's really good to me when it comes to coffee. And all the girls that work there are wonderful. And I found a new Dunkin' Donuts outside of Alpharetta, Georgia. Great folks, nice ladies. Now I go there on Sundays. I've got my pattern of things. So think about this when you run a company, right? You've got people like me that have habits. Once we get into that habit, it's introduced to our lives, we will continue that habit. If I'm stopping at your establishment either every morning or on Sundays on my way to church, I will continue. If I travel a certain highway, a specific amount of times per year, I'm going to go ahead and plan to stop at your establishment. Once you've let me down X amount of times, I'm going to have to write a new plan. Now, in our travels, I've got to rewrite several things to accommodate. So now, Buc-ee's, thank you very much. Now we write Buc-ee's into our our travel plans. If there's not a Buc-ee's, then we look at somebody else. So just things to think about when you set up your company. If you're a big corporation, make sure that your employees are in touch with your mission, vision, expectations. Again, let me go over the 4 things I expect. Friendly face, somebody to welcome me, greet me into your establishment. Clean external, internal. Stock everything. Make me feel like I have value. And then when I leave, let me know it was worth it for me to stop by. That's all I ask. All right, so if you have any questions, you can go to my website, scotferrell.com. Let me spell that, SCOTFERRELL.com. I'll see you next time.